So I just want to do a quick video this morning on tarot and seeing different perspectives with the tarot cards. Many may think that tarot is just something for divination, like a divination tool, or something to make predictions, something to use to see the future. And yes, it can be used like this. It can be used for spell working, for example, and it can have very powerful results as well. But tarot, for the most part, for me, has been used to simply see all perspectives in a situation. So we can take any card in a tarot deck, for example, and explore all the angles of that card. And why would we do that? This is essentially a way to have all angles of the situation, all different aspects of a particular situation. And when we have different perspectives, we have different angles of a situation or aspects of a situation, then essentially we can make the best decisions based on that information. For example, we can make a cake with 3 of the 9 ingredients that are needed, right? But it may not turn out exactly how we want, especially if a major ingredient is missing. We can say that major arcana is like the main ingredients, like flour and water, and the minor arcana are like the minor ingredients, like cinnamon or cloves, etc. But really, that cake isn't going to be complete. So going back to the perspectives, if we can see all of the sides of a situation, all the major possibilities, and even the minor possibilities, then we can make the best decision possible, because we have all different perspectives, we have different information. So we can even take an example. If we take the devil card, for example, and I use the devil because a lot of people kind of have fear of the devil card, right? And I think, it's really not something to be afraid of. It can have some strong imagery, but, maybe some people think that it's evil or it's terrible, but that's only because of the programming that we've had for the several hundreds of years from the church, essentially. They've kind of programmed it in our head that this is generally a negative image. But all it is a card, and it simply represents this kind of energy, and it's not necessarily evil or terrible. The devil, yes, it can be addictions, it can be being bounded to something, or being restricted, for example. And, we might see this as bad, but if we have another look at it, if we have another perspective of being restricted, for example, this can be good sometimes, right? If we're trying to lose weight, we need to have a certain level of restrictions in our diet. Otherwise, we wouldn't lose the weight. And if we want to save money, for example, we need to have restrictions on our budget or on our finances to be able to save the money that we want to save. So in this case, these would be 2 more positive perspectives of this card that has a tendency to have negative, a negative connotation. And then it obviously, seeing different perspectives obviously depends on the other cards we have around. Remember, Saturn rules the devil card. Saturn is all about restrictions, discipline, setting limitations, etc. And that's ruled by Capricorn, which is an earth sign, saying, we have to work hard, be grounded, living in the material plane, On one hand, we may say, don't indulge, but on some level, sometimes we have to indulge, especially, maybe we've worked all week, we have, 40 hours, 50 hours of work that we've put in. Sometimes it is nice to indulge at the end of the week, because we do have to treat ourselves every now and again. It's called feeding the elephant. And there's a book, The Ant and the Elephant, that I would highly recommend, by Vince Poscente, I believe is his last name. The Ant and the Elephant, which essentially talks about this concept of feeding the the subconscious mind rewarding it to satisfy it every now and again, because we just can't be all work. In yoga we talk about there's a balance and a harmony to everything. So anyways, going back to this concept of seeing different perspectives, we could see this as, addictions, restrictions. But if we take that word restriction, sometimes restriction is bad, sometimes restriction is good. If we take another card with it, for example. Let's see, I use the Eight of Pentacles, which is traditionally like working, paying attention to details. It's kind of like nose to the grindstone kind of card. So if we take the Eight of Pentacles, we can look at these two cards and we can say, okay, so maybe someone's like obsessive compulsive, right? Maybe they're working too hard, they're a workaholic, or maybe they're a perfectionist. Again, obsessing over details, they're just too much into their work. But then we may also say that maybe someone needs to pay closer attention to details. Maybe they need to work harder, especially if you have something like the Four of Cups in front. Maybe you have the Four of Cups, which is, if I bring out the Four of Cups, then you can have something like maybe someone's being too complacent at work, or maybe they're just being downright, lazy, and they really don't want to do anything. They're sitting around and they don't want to work as hard as they should be working. So in this case, you might have the devil saying, you know what, you're being too complacent. It's time to get your nose back into your job and, impose some limitations, impose some restrictions so you can get to work and get the things done that you need to get done. So I just wanted to make this quick note, for example, on, how we can take any card in tarot and we can see both the good and the bad sides of it, and seeing all of the sides of a particular card will help us gain different perspectives into a situation. And the more perspectives we have, the more that we can see different aspects of a situation, the better that it's going to help us with getting the information that we need to be able to make decisions. So let me know if you have any questions, comments. Make sure to leave those below. And thanks.